Hey everybody, welcome back to another Sunday video. First of all, I want to say welcome back to people who are regulars and hello to people who are new. I just got back from a week-long vacation at the beach. It was very, very nice and pretty relaxing too. So I'm glad to be back, but it was good to kind of get away for a little bit there. I am back now though, and it is time to take a look at some setups for the week ahead. First of all, I wanted to start out with where I'm at with my trading. August, not starting out too hot, down 2.26%. That is almost a $14,000 drawdown, coming off of what was an incredibly good run though. So I'm not too worried about it. But yes, a little bit of a slow start to August, and we'll see if we can bounce back, and perhaps finding some setups today can help us in that area. Now, of course, here is also some performance in terms of P&L. This is the last 1 month or so. Up about 10,880, all things considered, including that drawdown period. If you take a look at the 3 month, there's up 51,000, 6 month, year to date, and of course the all time. This is how the account is doing. I try and stay transparent on my videos. Let's now go ahead and jump into some setups. But just before we get into the setups for today, let me remind you guys that we are currently doing a VIP sale. And if you're not already inside of our VIP group, let me just tell you quickly about it, and then we'll jump into some setups. So this is a little bit of a look inside of the VIP group, which involves our trade alerts, or signals if you'd like to call them that, where we share trades that we're taking. When I say we, I'm talking about myself and Frank, who is my trading partner. We've been trading together for a number of years and sharing our trade alerts on the swing trades, position trades, option sides, and even stock side from Frank. So he does swing trades for currencies and indices and that sort of thing. I do as well. And he goes into the stock side and I go kind of into the option side. So of course we share all of our trades, full details, explanations, breakdowns, that sort of thing. You could see, like, here's an example, my latest trade on the NASDAQ, which we'll talk about here in a moment, where I am long NAS. I explain why I take the trade, the explanation behind it. We also have a chat room available, and we have coaching webinars that are done by Ivan throughout the week. He's one of our coaches here. So we have tons of value. And I do want to just say, if you are interested at all, please make sure to check out the links down below in the description for more information on the VIP group sale. So I'm sure that some of you guys are wondering, how did you get into a drawdown like this, Nick? Well, let's talk about it. If you guys watched my live streams before I went on vacation, I talked a lot about my bigger plan on the US dollar. Pretty much in a nutshell, I was bearish at this level and I was bearish at this level. And both levels actually ended up holding terribly and costing me some money. So let's talk about it. So again, I thought that the dollar, after breaking through this clean level of support, that it would then become resistance, right? That sellers would be able to take control and continue to push this market down on the US dollar side. Especially since we've got a lot of good news, or at least news that the Federal Reserve wants to see. Some slowing in the jobs world. NFP was kind of a win for the dollar bears in some cases, but despite that, the dollar remained really strong and it made its way up to my second level of resistance, right around the 618, the 61.8% retracement when drawn from the swing high to swing low. This level also looked like a possible second attempt for sells on the dollar. And of course, it has held all right, but not before popping above that level of resistance and costing me some money. Both of these cases, I traded things that were predominantly short biased on the dollar. I went long on the indices on 3 different occasions, and all 3 have not done very well. So there's some transparency. I'm wrong just like everybody else, and it happens. So anyways, what's the plan going forward? Well, for now, unless this continues to start nosediving back down and showing some strength to the downside, this is kind of tough for me to keep playing now it's going to go down, right? Or now it's going to go down. I'm not going to play that game. I'm going to wait for price to actually start showing some signs again, that sellers are in control, and then perhaps look to sell into a retracement. And again, yes, this didn't work this time, but I've been trading for a long time. I have reasons for why I take the trades that I take. And oftentimes this is a beautiful setup. It just sometimes doesn't work. Anyways, let's talk about some setups. So I want to actually go through, we have a lot of stuff here on the watch list here for the EDGEFINDER, and I plan to kind of go through this for the most part here today. So strap yourself in. We've got a lot of charts to look at. Let's start with Bitcoin very quickly. So if we take a look at Bitcoin here, Bitcoin overall has just been a really range-bound market. It's not one that I personally trade very much, so I probably won't be doing anything. But to the bulls' credit, you know, we had this kind of breakout to the upside. We've been fizzling, like pulling back here. If you draw a fib for those who are watching Bitcoin, perhaps at 50%, or, you know, if we can get a run going, a breakout here on the lower time frames, perhaps there's something for the Bitcoin bulls. But let's also take a look at US 30. Now, US 30, this is of course the Dow Jones Industrial Average. This one I actually think has some potential. And what I mean by potential is if price is able to pull back to a key level, this one might actually have an opportunity to get long. And so I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. Let's find my tool here. And there we go. So as you can see here, we have overall a nice little uptrend forming, right? Some higher lows. After this consolidation, we broke out clean and kept going. So I really like the price action here, but I think it does probably have some room to pull back before I'm personally looking to get involved on something like the Dow Jones. Yeah, so I'll watch this. I am overall bullish on this. If we take a look at the EDGEFINDER on the watch list, we're getting scores very high in multiple areas. And quick break, if you do not know what I am looking at, this is our company's software. I run a software company. We build tools. Myself and Frank design software, as you met Frank briefly earlier from our VIP screenshot. Anyways, Frank and I, we build tools for traders pretty extensively at our company. And you know, things like retail sentiment, right? Understanding what the retail traders are doing. If they're very short, we're looking to get long. If they're very long, we're looking to get short. Seasonal trends, right? Is the month of August that we've just joined, is it a positive month historically for the US 30? That's a question that we want to ask, right? These are things that we can't just get from just purely looking at a technical chart. So we use more than just technical charts here. We try and involve, for example, the latest inflation figures. How does that impact our bias on US 30. Now I know that these are just numbers and you might be wondering how does all of this get scored. And again, I do want to say that there is many videos that you can go through. There is also a link down below in the description if you'd like to check out our software. And just like we are doing a sale on our VIP, you can also get a discount off of that by using the promo codes that are linked down below in the description if you'd like to check out our software. So US 30, I do like that. Bullish on pullbacks. USDCAD, also getting a very bullish reading. So let's take a look at USDCAD and see what's going on here. So this one looking interesting. For me, probably not a buy on the open by any means, but what I would be interested in would be, you know, hey, show us some strength here, break out, and if we get some sort of like 38.2% retracement, then perhaps there's something here, right? So a breakout, a pullback, these sorts of setups I do like. So I'll be watching USDCAD for that potential there. EURAUD also getting a bullish reading here and showing a lot of strength. I actually pointed this one out on my Twitter last week. I really liked this setup. You know, I was thinking that we could get a pullback, and if it did happen, I'd be looking to get long. We've got our high formed right here. So if we get something like a 50% retracement, which would bring us from the previous highs down into this support zone, I do like this one long as well. So I'll keep going. NAS100, of course, I am currently long NAS100, but I have to be transparent. I'm keeping this one on a short leash, and I'll show you guys why. So my thought process here is that the NAS100 is still, in my view here, it's still in a nice upward trend, right? We've got some levels here, and I figured we could try and go for a buy here. So that is why I'm personally long. As I showed you guys inside of the VIP group, I've got a trade open that I've shared with members. And again, members do get notifications sent directly to their phone anytime I make an update to the trade or enter a new trade. So again, if you would like access to that, the link and promo code will be down below in the description. And again, as price retests this area, basically, when I say short leash, what I mean by that is that if price breaks through this, I'm going to probably just go ahead and close out of this and look for another attempt at a later point. So I'm at my last attempt to see if the NASDAQ wants to rally and continue this uptrend. But if it doesn't, no problem, I'll be out. Yes, it will mean starting out in a loss for the month of August. As I showed you guys earlier, August has been a slow start for me, but we'll see if we can bounce back going forward. Okay, so NAS100, I am bullish, clearly, as I do have a position. SPX 500, also very bullish, right? So same kind of concept here as the NASDAQ. Price pulling back, I may give this one a shot if we do come down just a bit further. 4440 kind of looks interesting for possible continuation plays. So I do like the S&P and I like the NASDAQ. I want to show you guys something here. Let's take a look at the smart money tracker. So for those of you guys who do not know much about the EDGEFINDER, the EDGEFINDER is basically meant to be a data center for traders. All the data you need in one single report, so you don't have to go read a bunch of articles, pull up a bunch of websites, watch for economic news, none of that. All of it in one spot. That is, of course, the convenience and why our company exists. There are a lot of traders who are desperately needing for these sorts of data and tools to use in their trading. So anyways, I wanted to take a look specifically to see where we're at. Euro takes number one. This is very interesting. In terms of a long to short ratio, the euro has become the number one asset. Now, this is really interesting because number one used to be gold. And we've seen gold actually see a big decrease in long contracts. So as of the latest week, right? So this is the week to week change as COT reports are updated weekly, right? We track the COT on this data. What we're looking at here is we see that last week there was a lot of shorts that a lot of decrease in longs on the gold market. So kind of an interesting one to keep an eye on. The GBP also right now, the lead currency, that's kind of new, right? GBP showing a lot of strength relative to some of the other currencies. And, you've got CAD and USD kind of now becoming mixed. I actually am really interested to see where that goes. As the USD for a long time was just a powerhouse buy on the COT, we're now seeing it come down to almost a 50-50 shot. So why does that matter? Well, if we know that if we know that institutional money, for example, is shorting the yen, that to me is a signal to potentially also look to short the yen. Now, is that a guarantee that's going to work every single week? No, but it's a general idea that I like to know where, big money is positioned. So again, feel free to pause the video if you'd like to take a look at the full COT data that we have pulled in on the EDGEFINDER, or get yourself a copy of the software. You can look at it anytime you want in full detail and pull up all the charts that you'd like to. We can also take a quick break to take a look at retail sentiment. This is what retail traders are currently doing with the major currency pairs. So we have USDCAD here, the most short, and USDCHF, the most long. So retail traders being very long USDCHF is actually a bearish signal in my view and in the way we score the EDGEFINDER. Let's also take a look here at some other things. We can take a look at indices. So indices are very, very short biased from retail traders. So retail traders are short NAS. On average, they're short S&P by a lot, German 30, and very short the Dow Jones. So very interesting to see that. Sentiment seems to be pretty bearish on the indices. That actually kind of gives me a positive bias. So we can also add, of course, commodities like gold, and we have gold here. Of course, oil, very short bias. So all of this to say, retail sentiment is usually something I'm trying to go against. Smart money tracker is usually something I'm trying to go with. So that's how I personally use this stuff. Seasonal trends, as we've discussed here, are kind of the study of like what a particular asset may be doing in a particular month. So if I mentioned, the Dow Jones earlier, let's go find US 30. So if we take a look at US 30 here, here's August. So August historically is a pretty positive month for the Dow Jones. Now, we have to also recognize that September is usually not a positive month, but we're early in August, and that means, this is going to give me a bullish bias in August, a slightly more bullish bias. This by itself, the thing I want you guys to understand, if you watch my videos every day, if you're one of my regular viewers, and you can dissect the EDGEFINDER just as well as I can at this point, I want you to understand, or if you're newer and you're just trying to figure out the understanding behind the EDGEFINDER, none of these single indicators or metrics is the all-knowing, all-seeing eye that any trader would love to have. All of these things are bits and pieces to be used together. That is why the EDGEFINDER has an algorithm that scores everything together that we pull in, right? It is not seasonality is not the all-knowing god of trading, right? Neither is the COT reports, neither is the retail sentiment. It's all baked into the overall scoring that we give each asset. That's where the value really is. So we can always go back to this and we can get an idea. And once you know how to read the EDGEFINDER, when you look at this screen, what each thing is telling you roughly. Okay? Anyways, let's keep going. Pound New Zealand, another bullish one. Pound New Zealand, right? I don't love this chart. I'm going to be honest with you. Perhaps breakouts, retests, a big stretch to the upside, something to break us out of that consolidation would be interesting. USD ZAR, bullish. You know, for this one, I'd be interested perhaps if we see a breakout of this trend line, right? So you'll notice when I pull up these charts, I'm not even looking for bearish setups. Even though, yes, this is potentially a bearish looking technical pattern, the fundamentals and what we look at on the Edge Finder are pointing bullish. So I'm waiting for breakouts. I'm waiting for signs of strength, right? So that's how I'd play that one, though not really a pair that I trade very often. I'm going to skip a few. We're going to go down to gold here because we do have a lot of things to get through today. Gold bullish. I do actually like the call out for a potential upside on gold here. So just a quick look at the larger time frames. You can see off the daily chart, we've got this nice overall upward structure, and I'd like to see if this thing can catch a bounce. Perhaps dropping it down to the lower time frames, we could look for something like, a break of resistance here, perhaps something like that. But bullish call out, I do like on gold going into this week. Let's talk about some of the bearish setups. And I'm going to go kind of the stronger ones first, Aussie dollar and Aussie yen. So Aussie dollar here as a bearish setup. Let's go to the 4-hour chart and we can see where we're at. So let's start fresh and let's just take a quick look here at Aussie USD. Okay, so right off the bat, what I see here personally would be resistance at where we broke out to the downside. So if price does make a retracement back up into this area, perhaps there's a setup just continuing this downward structure on the Australian dollar against the US dollar. Let's take a look at some of the contributing factors. So COT shows institutional money is probably more biased on the short side. Probably it's more on the Aussie side, right? Let's go check that. And there it is. Yep, Australian dollar has a very short preference from institutional money. We can track that again from the COT reports given to us by the Edge Finder. And if we take a look at the retail sentiment, crowd is probably very bullish on Australian dollar. And again, let's go double check our work, right? Australian dollar, we're looking at a major currency pair. Australian dollar, yep, there it is. There's a heavy preference for longs from retail traders. So I hope that by watching my videos, you're understanding over time the report that we're looking at, how this is scoring, how all of this is automated. So we're not going and plugging these details in and pulling up, like I said, 15 different websites and articles to get this information. The Edge Finder automates that process. So anyways, let's keep going. Seasonality, the month of August, historically negative for this pair. Downward trend, pretty clear on the daily chart. GDP growth favors the US over Australia, so that's why it's getting a negative. Inflation, showing some higher levels of inflation in Australia, which may need the RBA to continue to uptick in its work to combat inflation. Unemployment is pretty flat, meaning there's not really a preference between the two countries. And then if we take a look at interest rates, of course, interest rates favor the US. So pretty bearish reading for the Australian dollar. So pullbacks actually look really interesting this week. I think this is probably a 50 or 61.8% retracement. Yep, just right around that zone. So a pullback perhaps into like the 61.8% would be a pretty conservative entry here, right? So a pullback into that area, looking for continuation plays overall on the Aussie dollar. I do like that setup. That is one that is on my watch list here going into this week. Aussie yen, sorry for the messy charts. Let's start fresh here. So crazy move here, right? Big down, big up, and then now kind of back down. With a bearish overall reading on this, for me, probably not a big fan of the way this chart is playing out. I'd like to see, this level get broken out. So a big break underneath. That would probably get us into, pullback zones and then continuations, but really not quite a setup that I'm looking to jump on right away this week. So we have a lot of things to look at, so I'm kind of jumping around here. Let's take a quick look at NZDJPY. Probably going to look similar to Aussie yen. Yep, pretty similar. So kind of same concept there. NZDUSD might be more interesting as it may follow suit kind of with Australian dollar. So this one may have already hit resistance. Yeah, it does look like it kind of tagged resistance here, right? So resistance came into play. I think that's a 38.2. Yeah, 38.2% retracement gets hit and sold off so far. We'll see if that one continues, but if it does double back, there may be an opportunity if you are more bearish, perhaps NZDUSD, perhaps you're more interested in looking at this chart. For me, I do like Aussie dollar as it does get that full -6 reading, which is a pretty strong sell reading on the Edge Finder. It's not the strongest that we've ever seen by any means. You can see like Bitcoin is like one of the highest buy ratings, which is really interesting to me. But again, you may or may not, this is why when I pull up my videos, I'm pulling up things that I do trade and things that I don't really trade, just to, for the EDGEFINDER is not built only for me. It's built for people of many, many different trading styles and people who trade, day trading, scalpers, swing traders, day traders. We have different people of all different time frames using this, and people who trade different charts, so on and so forth. If you guys enjoy my videos, do me a quick favor and hit that thumbs up button. It really does help to support the channel. And if you made it to the very end here, I would ask that you just take a quick second to let me know, what are you watching most this week? What chart are you most interested in going into the week? I take a look at all of you guys' comments. I think I read every comment that comes on my channel. And I just want to say, if you do comment which chart you'd like to look at, I'll take that into consideration. And if there's a lot of people who are asking like for gold or something, I'll make sure to make a video about it this week, as I do plan on, of course, commenting on the market all week. Remember, guys, you can get access to our Discord. It is currently on sale. Take advantage using the link down below in the description. And you can also, of course, get access to the EDGEFINDER. Both of them are linked and discounted for subscribers here on YouTube down below in the description. Thank you guys for watching my video, and have a wonderful week ahead.